Good afternoon, Mr. Chee Hong Tat, Senior Minister of State, Ministry of Transport, distinguished representatives from Eastport Maritime, Kanda and Torvald Klaveness, SMF board members and Executive Director, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Angeline from the Singapore Maritime Foundation, and I will be your MC for today. Before we commence, I would like to remind everyone of the safe management measures. Please remain masked except when rehydrating, and please refrain from intermingling between tables. Thank you so much for your cooperation. So months of hard work since the launch of the first ever MSC Maritime Digital Challenge in August has brought us to the grand finals today. Let's watch a short video for a glimpse of the action that took place during the judging last night and this morning.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to the MSC Maritime Digital Challenge Grand Finals.
It has been very insightful. Like what Gabriel mentioned, we're actually a diverse team, and it's really good when we do our discussions and development that the tech explains to the maritime side and the maritime does the same for the tech. So it's like an exchange of information, and not to mention with all the mentoring sessions along the way, we also gather a lot of insights about the maritime industry itself. So I think for the five of us, it has definitely been a journey of like learning and obviously going through this journey together as a team.
So through this competition, we actually understand more about the industry, the difficulties they face, and what are the common challenges that employees have when onboarding to this kind of industry. As I know, not many of the students here even are maritime industry students. So we take this opportunity very seriously, and we learn a lot about the maritime industry, and also I think further appreciate our maritime industry employees and workers. Yeah.
To come up with that standard of work at that stage in their education is simply outstanding. I've never seen anything like this before. This is something you would expect from people with maybe 5 or 10 years experience. They were all very, very professional, and yeah, it just blew my mind that people of this age can produce work of that quality.
So first I must commend the teams, because we have seen very impressive proposals in the short span of time that they have to come up with the proof of concept. Right? They have done so much beyond just the basic proposal. We have seen teams use even videos, that really enhance the proof of concept.
We learned from Eastern Pacific that the seafarers only undergo training once every 1 to 2 years, and they will go overseas for that. So there's a lot of expenses, there's a lot of cost, and what's more is that majority of the learning facilities in academies are really outdated, which is a major pain point that we tried to step on, which is why we introduced VR and scalability. So that was the key of our components.
It's really amazing about people who are not close to the subject matter, or I guess to VR development, how creative they can be. Well, it's been absolutely fantastic. I've been blown away by the enthusiasm, the creativity, the quality of what both teams have delivered. It's been a real pleasure.
Well, that was a great sneak peek of what the finalists have prepared. I hope that this has stirred up your excitement for the presentations by our winning teams. First, I would like to invite SMF board member Mr. Ho Wing Yu to deliver welcome remarks. Mr. Ho, please.
Thank you. Yeah, good. Take out my mask. Good afternoon, Mr. Chee Hong Tat, Senior Minister for State of Transport, distinguished representatives from participating companies, fellow SMF board members, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon again, and thank you all for joining us at this prize presentation of the inaugural MSC Maritime Digital Challenge. 3 months ago in August, we have 129 students forming 35 teams from Singapore's universities and polytechnics, responded to 3 challenge statements issued by the maritime industry. The challenge statements were diverse, reflect the span of the maritime ecosystem here, and a drive towards the industry digitalization. Homegrown shipbroking and consultancy, Eastport Maritime, challenged students to use gamification to develop an interactive and engaging learning platform to onboard new hires and also train existing employees taking on new roles and jobs responsibilities. Danish setup, Kanda, challenged students to use VR technology and game-based learning to train users to conduct industrial procedures, such as operating a fuel gas supply system. Norwegian shipping company Torvald Klaveness invited students to create an app for seafarers to input clean data to develop insights for sustainable shipping. The span of these challenges is really a good demonstration that the maritime industry is rapidly embracing technology to become better, greener, and more sustainable. I had the privilege to judge one of the challenge statements last night. I was very impressed by the thoughtfulness of the proposals, despite the relatively short time frame the students had in the run-up to the grand finals. And I'm also hearing similar views and comments and feedbacks from my fellow judges. Today, this afternoon, you will see the grand champion teams present their proposals. And I think you'll agree with me that the students have really a firm grasp of the challenges. I would like to thank SMSG for gracing the event. It sends a very important and strong message about the government's commitment to nurturing Singapore maritime talent pool. Indeed, for Singapore, as a maritime nation, which traces our heritage back 700 years ago, we are actually acutely aware of how our strategic location, combined with a skilled and committed talent pool, have really helped us to flourish from a trading post back in the early 19th century to where we are today, a global hub port and an international maritime center. With COVID-19 in the last couple of years having accelerated some of the mega trends and highlighted how vital shipping is as a pillar of the global supply chain and carrier of world trade, the industry is really on the cusp of a new wave of transformation, and it's very, very exciting. And for us to thrive in this brave new world, it is important that we continue to attract young talents, bright minds, to write the next chapters of Maritime Singapore with all of us here. And I'm convinced that for the maritime industry, the best is yet to come. It brings me now to thank the mentors from the 3 participating companies, Eastport Maritime, Kanda and its incubator, Eastern Pacific Shipping, as well as Torvald Klaveness, for nurturing our young minds and plugging them into the transformation journey in the maritime sector. And I think with committed partners like yourselves, our youth will come to appreciate the industry and take joy in creating our future together. I thank you all very much and hope you enjoy the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hoare. Indeed, it is heartening to see participants across a range of non-maritime disciplines participate in the digital challenge. Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored today to have Senior Minister of State, Ministry of Transport, Mr. Chee Hong Tat, with us. It is my pleasure to now invite SMS Chee on stage to deliver the opening address. SMS, please.
Thank you. Board members and Executive Director of SMF, ladies and gentlemen, our friends who are joining us online, very good afternoon to all of you. I'm happy to join you today at the grand finals of the Inaugural Maritime Digital Challenge. Singapore's maritime sector has stayed resilient during the COVID-19 pandemic. Our container port throughput has in fact exceeded our pre-COVID levels, and our International Maritime Centre, or IMC, has continued to grow from strength to strength. Singapore was recently voted as the world's best global seaport and we retain our position as the top international shipping center for the 8th year. Digitalization is one of the key reasons for our resilience and our success despite the pandemic. The maritime digital journey actually didn't start only during the pandemic. We started many years ago, in fact, some 40 years ago with PortNet, which was the world's first nationwide business-to-business port community system. Since then, new digital systems have brought the port community closer and made work easier. For example, MPA's Digital Port at SG is a one-stop portal that streamlines 16 regulatory forms into one single application process for MPA, for ICA, and for NEA. And in doing so, we reduced the administrative efforts by an estimated 100,000 man-hours per year. MPA is now working on phase 2 of Digital Port at SG to interoperate with other port community systems and other commercial platforms. So we want to go beyond the government system. We want to be able to integrate with other port systems and also with commercial systems. And this will enable just-in-time services, reduce vessel turnaround time, and create a one-stop shopfront for port and marine service providers to offer their services for ships calling at the Port of Singapore. The pandemic has accelerated digital innovation in the maritime sector. And these include consolidation of information on vessel arrivals using robotic process automation, seafarer training using mobile learning apps, as well as remote vessel inspections using virtual reality and augmented reality headsets and drones. Now, we recognize the importance of bringing different stakeholders to collaborate and innovate together. In 2018, MPA, NUS Enterprise, and Singapore Shipping Association, or SSA, organized the first innovation workshop under the Maritime Innovation Process, where we reached out to maritime companies to develop challenge statements for the different solver communities. Now, initially, the challenge statements were shared with local and overseas startups through the Peer 71 program. Subsequently, the network was expanded to include researchers from local research centers and also our institutes of higher learning through the Singapore Maritime Institute. Last year, we started working with the Singapore Maritime Foundation to reach out to young talents for more ideas. This holistic and industry-led model of innovation has generated numerous solutions for practical challenges. It has also identified innovation opportunities for future research and created a new platform to groom young maritime talents and to build capabilities. It's wonderful to see more than 120 students across diverse disciplines from our local universities and polytechnics participating in this inaugural Maritime Digital Challenge. And as I was watching the video earlier, I heard some of the participants talk about their experiences and also how many of you may not have come from maritime-related disciplines, but you have applied what you have learned to solve practical challenges that the maritime industry is facing. So actually, this is excellent, because this is what learning and applying what you have learned is all about. In fact, I would argue that it would be an advantage precisely because some of you don't come from the maritime sector, that you are able to see solutions from other sectors, from other disciplines, from a fresh perspective. And this is where innovation has the greatest chances to succeed. So over the past few weeks, our participants tackled different challenges, from Eastport Maritime's use of gamification to develop a platform for onboarding and training, Kanda's challenge of using virtual reality in maritime operations training, and Torvald Klaveness' challenge of creating an app for seafarers to input data for sustainable shipping insights. The participants focus on developing solutions that are user-friendly, scalable, and interoperable with the wider digital ecosystem. And there were many good ideas and solutions, and I'm sure it was a very challenging task for our judges to be able to pick the winning entries. These exciting challenges are just some of the many examples of the opportunities arising from maritime digitalization. There will be many more opportunities for our young talents to gain valuable experience in the companies that you work with, and opportunities for you to also contribute your ideas, your fresh perspectives, and how you can shape the future of the maritime industry. For example, Spin-off Robotics, whose founders are students from SUTD and are one of the finalists in this year's Smart Port Challenge. It has developed a drone that could conduct high-altitude washing and inspection operations. Their solution is undergoing trials with Tata NYK, a dry bulk vessel operator. If successful, their drones could save thousands of seafarers from having to perform the arduous and time-consuming tasks of cleaning cargo holds. And I'm sure the technology, if adapted, can also apply to many different areas, both within the maritime industry and also in other industries. So this is, again, going back to the earlier point that I made, cross-discipline application of knowledge and good ideas is where the greatest scope lies for innovation. With more than 80% of the global traded goods carried via sea, the maritime industry is poised for further expansion, enabled by digitalization, innovation, and importantly, environmental sustainability through decarbonization. These growth opportunities will create many good jobs in the maritime industry. SMF recently organized a virtual career fair with more than 200 job opportunities, such as vessel operations, chartering, freight analysts, and these require skills such as data analytics, business development, and operations management. For those of you who are graduating and looking for a job, I would like to encourage you to check out the Maritime Singapore Connect website to find out more. And these include our friends who are watching online as well. Ladies and gentlemen, there are also job opportunities in the maritime sector, not just for our young talents, but also for mid-career individuals who bring useful skills and knowledge from other industries. I'm happy to announce that Workforce Singapore and the Maritime and Port Authority are rolling out an enhanced career conversion program, or CCP, for sea transport professionals and associates. This expanded CCP will benefit up to 300 individuals over 2 years, building on its predecessor program, which had benefited over 160 individuals. So we hope to be able to build on that first phase, and through this effort, jointly between WSG and MPA, to be able to include more people, to benefit more people, more mid-career individuals, and encourage them to join the maritime industry, which will in turn also benefit our companies and help our sector to grow further. So there will be 3 pathways for this expanded program. The first is place and train. That means the company will place the person who may not have all the skill sets ready, but then after that they will train the person. So place and train. Next, redeployment. So it could be an individual who is working in a company, but will be redeployed from one job role to another job role. So this CCP will also help this individual to be able to learn new skills for the new role. And the new job redesign and reskilling, because there will be a need also for us to relook at existing job roles. What can we do to redesign and enhance these jobs within the companies? So all these 3 pathways will together equip mid-career switchers and existing maritime employees who are taking on different roles with new competencies in areas such as automation, data analytics, decarbonization, and cybersecurity. Now, one such individual who had made a successful career switch through CCP is Mr. Fok Jin Jin, a 39-year-old senior LNG bunkering technician with Fuel LNG. And this is a joint venture between Keppel Offshore and Marine and Shell Eastern Petroleum, providing LNG, liquefied natural gas bunker. Now, Mr. Fogg previously held roles in the transportation and petroleum industries before joining the company in 2019. And prior to this, he actually had no knowledge and no experience in handling LNG, but he was willing to learn. So he attended the CCP and went through classroom and on-the-job training to gain in-depth knowledge of shipping operations and LNG bunkering. He learned how to load LNG into tank trailers and ISO containers, as well as how to transport the containers to port to carry out LNG bunkering. He also conducts audits on subcontractors to ensure their safe handling and transportation of LNG, and he now trains new staff in LNG handling. So with all these increased responsibilities, Mr. Fogg was recently promoted by the company. So congratulations, Mr. Fogg Jinjin, and well done. The enhanced CCP comes at a critical time of transformation for the maritime sector. Besides helping companies to develop and assess a larger pool of local talent with diverse expertise and experiences, this is also something that will benefit both the companies and the workers. So it's a win-win. It's good for our industry, our companies, it's also good for our workers. And through all these different efforts, we build a future-ready maritime workforce. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to conclude my speech by thanking all 35 teams for participating in this year's challenge. I also want to thank our partners, Eastport, Kanda, Torvald Klaveness, for providing the challenge statements and for participating in the judging process. My heartiest congratulations to the teams that have made it to the grand finals, and I look forward to hearing your presentations later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, SMS Chief, for your message. As highlighted by Mr. Hoare in his welcome remarks, the journey began with 35 teams rising to the challenge posed by Eastport Maritime, Kanda and Torvald Klaveness. Over the past month, the 8 finalist teams have been guided by their company mentors and have worked hard on their proposals. The innovation displayed by the teams is inspiring, and you have done very well. After much deliberation, the judges have finalized their decisions. In my hands are the names of the champions that will walk away with a cash prize of $3,500, as well as the first and second runner-ups that will win cash prizes of $1,500 and $1,000 respectively. May I please invite SMS Chi to present the prizes to the champion teams? Due to safe management measures, may I ask the winning teams to collect your trophies from the table at the side of the stage before coming up on stage for a photo with SMS Chi. First, we have the champions of Eastport Maritime. I'm pleased to announce that the champion trophy goes to Eloise Lau, To Jia Yi, Ling Guan Yu, Jermaine Tan, and Ng Kai Jun from the team The Panther Crew. Please come up to the front to receive your trophy. Ooh. Congratulations, team The Panther Crew. Well, who will be next? Coming in second place, we have Jeffrey Sanjaya, Grace Xiao, Ardian Ebony Jonawan, Ong Wei, and Lavina Keek from the team Adobis. Well done, Team Adobis. Now, for the second runner-up, we have Sutha Prachi Jayesh, Devanshi Joshi, Ankita Parasha, Chirag Shivakumar from Team Mat Slackers. Good job, Team Mat Slackers. The challenge has seen so many strong contenders, and amongst them are our merit winners. First up, we have Nujat Libaba, representing Team Keys Angels. Next merit winner is Team Piloto, represented by Ngo Cheng Yi. A huge round of applause to all winners. Next, we have the champions of Kanda, and the first place goes to Perry Yi, Tin Yi Hui, Cassie Wong, Emma So, Tan Wei Zhen from Team Chocolate Whales. Congratulations, team. Coming in second place, the first runner-up goes to Megan Mokhtar, Edward Mokhtar, Jessica Limieta from Team GEM. Congratulations. Well done, both teams. And I'm sure you can't wait to find out who will be the champions of Torvald Klaveness. In first place, we have Pham Jia Jia, Ryan Tan, Gabriel So, Caleb Cheong, Brandon Christopher from Team Clever. In second place, we have Lau Hiao Yen. In second place, we have Lau Hiao Yen and Wong Man Chun from Team Ace. Congratulations. Thank you. The third place goes to Tan Pei Ling, Lucas Yeo, Hagan Lee, and Nathan Lai from Team Alphen. Okay. Good job to all teams. In recognition of the strong proposals that our participants have presented, we have two merit winners from Torvald Klaveness. Representing Team Blue, we have Lahiru Kaushalya Pereira as our first merit winner. And the second merit winner goes to Team Mong Tri IM, which is represented by Ezra Yo Enju. Congratulations to all teams. You have put up spectacular proposals. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give our winners a round of applause. Thank you, Mr. Chi, for presenting the awards. May I invite you to take a seat. The successful challenge would not have been possible without our three companies. Thank you for actively supporting the Singapore Maritime Foundation in this initiative. May I once again invite Mr. Ho Wing Yu on stage to present our partners with a memento of appreciation. Mr. Ho, please. Firstly, I would like to call upon Mr. Ragnar Berg, Managing Director at Eastport. Mr. Berg, please. Representing Kanda, we have Mr. Klaus Nemzo, Chief Innovation Officer of Eastern Pacific Shipping. Mr. Nemzo, please. Last but not least, may I invite Mr. Tim Poulsen, Regional Business Development Manager, Torvald Klaveness, to receive his memento. Mr. Poulsen, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Hall, for presenting the mementos. Having seen the winning teams, you're probably as keen as I am to hear what these winning proposals are about. First up, may I invite on stage Team the Panther Crew, the champions of Eastport Maritime's challenge. Team Panther Crew, please.
Good afternoon, Senior Minister of State, Minister Chee Hong Tat, distinguished guests and representatives, SMS board, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kaijin from the Panther Crew. Now we're actually here representing Nanyang Polytechnic, and we're really excited to join everyone here today at the finals of the Maritime Digital Challenge 2021. Now, of course, I will not be doing this presentation alone. I'm happy to introduce you to my team who will be joining me today. Now, first and foremost, we have myself, and I'll be looking through the features of our solution and what you can look forward to on the platform we've created. We also have Louise, who's in charge of corporate level implementation and the tangible benefits of the solution. Next up, Jermaine, in charge of demonstrations and showing us what our solution looks like from a staff or administrative point of view. Not forgetting Guan Yu as well as Jackie, who are our programmer and designer respectively. Now they were in charge of the prototyping process and making this entire solution come to life. With that said, let's start this presentation proper. So in this challenge, we are honored to have been able to work with Eastport to use gamification to develop an interactive and engaging learning platform to onboard new hires and existing staff taking on new roles. At its core, our solution, Adventure, targets 6 core needs: long-term strategy for Eastport, content delivery and customizability, UX and mechanics, implementation, maintenance and costs, data analysis, as well as human capital optimization. Backdrop with this framework, we will be presenting how each platform feature will address several segments in the hexagon, coming together to form a holistic view of how Adventure is a targeted solution for Eastport's onboarding and learning needs.
In building Adventure, we considered new hires and staff who were recently promoted as our main target audience. Adventure works hand in hand with any other training sessions that staff are required to attend and helps Eastport transit from facilitating learning solely through classrooms to incorporating digital learning into their curriculum. Without any further ado, please enjoy this short roundup of the core features of Adventure.
Now, at its core, Adventure is a role-playing adventure game that charts and recognizes a player's progression in the game world in the form of a ship exploring islands in a progressive horizon. Now, the first step on this journey is to log into our Adventure admin portal. On the admin portal, we'll create an Adventure account for each staff. Now, we do this by keying in staff's details into the admin portal. Now, on the admin portal, administrators can also upload training content within Adventure. To do this, they should navigate to the Manage Content tab. Now, do be assured that administrators will not require any programming knowledge to carry out this function or any other function on the platform. Once all accounts have been created and training content has been uploaded, staff may now log into Adventure. Each staff is represented by their own ship and will venture to different islands to unlock them. Each island represents the training modules that staff will have to undergo. Islands can only be unlocked when staff have accumulated the relevant amount of stars tagged to that particular island. Each island is also split into various bite-sized topics within the module. Upon completion of each topic, there will be an assessment to test staff's understanding of the module. Now, we actually have two different modes of assessment, case studies as well as cargo election. So first, let's look into cargo election. So for cargo election, as you can see on your screen right here, the question will pop up at the top of the screen. Now, players will have to use the controls at the bottom of the screen to navigate the crane and to pick up the correct option. Now next, let's look into our case studies form of assessment. For this, staff will first read through the uploaded case study and submit their responses. Trainers can then go through these responses and select those that are well thought out and award gold to these staff. Additionally, staff will also be able to browse through responses that others have submitted and gain new perspectives. Now, once the entire module is completed, staff will receive a new cargo box. Now, of course, the goal is to collect as many cargo boxes as possible and customize the ship to become attractive and unique. As more training content and assessments are completed, the progress bar tagged onto the island will also increase to show progression. To signify that staff has completed his venture to the island, he will also be able to plant his own customized flag on the completed island. So what you can see on your slide right here is actually the full journey of Adventure. We start off on the admin portal where our accounts are being created. Next, staff are able to sign in, see their profile, explore the different modules, and complete their assessment. On the side of the slide, we also see two different overarching features, Venture Duos as well as Venture Connect. Firstly, let's look more into Venture Duos. Other than venturing to the different islands, staff can also engage in some friendly competition via Venture Duos. Venture Duos is a multiplayer mechanism that can be used to create different games. And there are also several preset Venture Duos formats at the disposal of administrators and department heads. Venture Duos provides endless possibilities to engage staff, yield insightful data, and foster team bonding through joint achievement and healthy competition. Next up, we have Venture Connect. At any point in time on a venture, staff can access Venture Connect to interact with their fellow peers. Each staff can create their own threads to start discussion topics regarding learning or to clarify any doubts. They can also view the threads others have created and provide constructive answers to help their peers. Once developed, Venture Connect can act like an FAQ platform. Other staff who also have similar questions or ideas may view these responses, encouraging self-learning. Trainers will also be able to identify any knowledge gaps from the forum discussions and address them either through training or through updates in training content. Now, with that said, we do hope that you've enjoyed the short roundup of Adventure's core features. In that time, we saw how Adventure gameplay, Venture Connect, and Venture Duos help us to achieve the need for content delivery and customizability, as well as dynamic UX and mechanics. At this point, I'd like to invite up our designer, Jia Yi, to say a few words about Adventure's design philosophy.
The entire gameplay is actually modeled in the spirit of Eastport's vision to be a world-class shipbroker. The low-poly art style in the app helps simulate the real-life scenario of venturing on a ship in a light-hearted and attractive manner. This reinforces the imagery of Eastport expanding and growing to become an internationally recognized brand through staff's pursuit to the various islands. That also addresses the first need we have on our needs analysis hexagon, long-term strategy. Next, let us explore how the currencies and leaderboard function in Adventure helps Eastport in data analysis, which leads to strong human capital optimization. To engage staff with a wider sense of connection and reward across the company, Adventure also has a leaderboard. The leaderboard will rank performance by department. This encourages team bonding as the team has to look out for one another to rise up the leaderboard. The top 3 teams per season will receive gold. In Adventure, there are 4 main metrics: stars, progress bars, cargo boxes, and gold. Each of them represents a different facet of a staff and are earned and spent in different ways. All these mechanics allow for behavioral reinforcement and talent management strategies, as seen on this slide. At the core of these capabilities is ability to inventory competencies and identify talent from a quantitative approach.
Now that we have understood Adventure's role in optimizing human capital in Eastport's long-term strategy, let us take a look at how Adventure can be implemented at a corporate level. Firstly, Adventure is a cloud-based app that is built to be robust and secure. Relevant data is stored in the real-time databases of Firebase, a software backed by Google. Firebase real-time database is invulnerable to SQL injection since user input is handled by the API. Secure access rules are also maintained for these databases. Secondly, passwords keyed into the app are automatically hashed and stored securely by Firebase. Password input fields are also cleared on sign-in failure to prevent rapid password guessing. Additionally, staff and learners on Adventure use different clients. This also acts as a deterrent to hackers. With that said, do be assured that Eastport still has the flexibility to look into other systems that can meet your desired security needs.
In order to implement Adventure into Eastport, we have come up with a simple implementation plan. We do understand that Eastport has its own internal processes for rolling out a new project. Hence, we have taken much reference from that and will be zooming into certain areas that are unique to this particular project. So, starting off with D-12 months, Eastport can start with mapping the training content. The content can be mapped according to the latest SkillsFuture skills framework. Next, Eastport can start into looking for sourcing for a vendor and publishing platform to develop the app. So this includes the process of sending out requests for proposal, which is also known as RFPs. As the app is being developed, Eastport can start to train app maintenance personnel and establish outsourced maintenance arrangements. Staff with varying level of digital literacy can be educated about the features of the app through different methods. The rest of the steps are actually pre-existing steps that are already part of Eastport's current internal processes, as can be seen on the slide. This will include betas and adjusting app balances. For any companies with the desire to digitalize, there are actually government schemes available for companies to tap on. For example, we have Enterprise Development Grant. It supports company who support third-party consultancy fees, software, and internal manpower costs. With that, let us take a look at how Adventure can be further scaled up. Firstly, Adventure can be expanded to be supported on PC-based to allow more flexibility on learning. Next, Adventure can also be scaled as a continual L&D platform by having more forms of assessment such as matching and sequence. Lastly, Adventure can be integrated with training classes. With that, all this will ensure that Adventure serves all of Eastport's learning needs.
Hence, what we end up with is Adventure. With Adventure, learning will be delivered in an engaging manner that is customized to staff's learning needs while tracking important data for deep talent management insights. The gamified UX will engage staff continually and promote a company-wide culture of learning in an easy and cost-efficient manner. Most importantly, Eastport will be empowered to promote their company values and long-term strategy while optimizing human capital to achieve greater heights as a company. With that, we hope you learn a little bit more about adventure and are excited for learning to flow through discovery. Thank you and have a very pleasant day ahead.
Thank you, Team the Panther Crew. Next up, we have Team Chocolate Waffles, the champions of Kanda's challenge statement. The challenge required the use of virtual reality technology and game-based learning in training users to conduct industrial procedures. May I invite the members of Team Chocolate Waffles on stage to present their winning proposal. Team Chocolate Waffles, please.
All right, hello everyone. I'm Emma, the team captain for this project. That's Wei Zhen, my fellow programmer. These two are Perry and Casey. They are the artists for this project, as well as our business manager, business student Yi Hui over there. So we are tackling challenge statement 2, which deals in virtual reality to facilitate the learning of industrial procedures with the use of gamification. Now I'll pass the time to Yi Hui to talk about how gamification and virtual reality is of use to the maritime industry.
Thank you, Emma. To understand more about the situation, we first interviewed our stakeholders, namely Kanda and Eastern Pacific Shipping. After their insightful sharings, we understood these pain points. Number 1, limitation of physical training locations. Number 2, the outdated machinery in learning academies. And number 3, the fact that traditional learning is ineffective, as there's little to no hands-on learning with the one-size-fits-all approach and a no refresher tradition, so that consumers and learners like us do not get a refresher to recall our memories. So from these pain points, we brainstormed and formulated this prototype, MIRTS, Maritime Extended Reality Training Program. So what is it about? MIRTS is basically a VR training system that allows seafarers to conduct procedures on board LNG ships virtually. They will experience hazardous events in order to stimulate real-life scenarios and enhance their learning. And in order to win and complete a stage, they must first complete their task in a safely and timely manner. If not, they will fail the procedure and have to restart over again. So it's in a genre of serious gaming in VR simulation. It allows for multiplayer of up to 3 players currently. The platform is on Oculus Quest 2, and the targeted audience are seafarers on LNG ships operating the FGSS. And the engine used is Unity 3D. So, how does MIRTS VR address the pain points that I mentioned previously? Number 1, the limitation of physical training locations. VR allows users to play multiplayer in a virtual room without needing to be physically present. This allows multiplayer to play at the same time. Thus, this solves the issue of having to rent a physical location. Number 2, the outdated machinery in learning academies. In VR and gaming, we are able to develop game models relatively quickly and are able to update them and scale them up. Thus, we do not have to waste money and time to build physical components. So, how does gamification in MIRTS solve the last pain point? Ineffective traditional classroom learning. So number 1, we're able to stimulate real-life scenarios like hazardous events on the VR system, which classroom training can never reciprocate. And number 3, the one-size-fits-all approach. This VR system allows for personalized and custom levels in order to target learners' weaknesses, which is very, very unique and enhances the learning. What's more, there's also weekly refresher courses in order to stimulate and recall memory that learners have learned. Now I'll be passing time on to Casey to explain more.
Thank you, Yi Hui. So now we'll be going through our unique selling points, such as the user profile, multiplayer, grading system, and refresher courses. So we have 3 play modes and grading systems, mainly the practice mode, where players will go through preset levels that show tasks, and they will be awarded 0 to 3 stars based on how well they have done. This will give them a completionist mindset and encourage players to play more to improve. Next, we have the challenge mode with randomized levels. These do not show tasks, but players will be graded using points and rank on the leaderboard. Getting high ranks will award players with badges such as top 1, top 10, top 20, and top 30 as shown below. This will give them a competitive mindset to strive to improve their skills above other players and their own high scores. Finally, we have the refresher mode, where the level is generated weekly based on the user's weaknesses. Tasks will be shown for this, and a badge is awarded when they pass this course. This allows users to focus and train on their weaknesses. Now I'll be passing the time on to Perry to talk about the prototype walkthrough.
Thank you, Casey. I'll now talk about prototype walkthrough to go through our screen flow as well as some of the game elements. So as seen here, this is the screen flow. Players will spawn in the reporting room where they have to log in to their account. After logging in, they'll move on to the briefing room where they can choose their game mode. And once everyone in the room is ready, they'll click on the ready button and they'll then move on to the engine room. And upon completing all tasks in the engine room, they'll be sent back to the briefing room. So here's the reporting room model. And in the reporting room, there's a punch card machine which players use to log in. And as you can see, this is the punch card machine. And in the next slide, you see this is the control pop-up 2D UI, which teaches the user the controls of the game and only appears when players are near an interactable object. And next is the wheel pad, which acts as the menu of the game. You can access things like the account settings as well as emotes. I'll now pass the time to Emma, who will elaborate further on the game elements.
All right, thank you, Perry. So the briefing room is where the players gather in our simulation. So in the briefing room, since there are many players coming in the same room at the time, we let them pick their color so that they can better identify themselves from each other. There are monitors in the briefing room that allow the player to view their stats, as well as their procedures, as well as the breakdown of the time they took to complete the procedures. It is viewable by all players in the room. So this is the whiteboard. This, as we stated before, there's 3 different modes: refresher, practice, and challenge mode. This is where the players get to choose their procedures. And this is the tool rack. Currently in the prototype, it doesn't show any functionality, but the players can spawn tools and just play around with them. So this is the engine room. So when players have chosen their procedure and they come to this room to execute their task. So the next slide. So each task is demonstrated in the wheel pad where they can see all their tasks, and the current task is marked with the exclamation mark inside the room. So each task requires the players to interact with the interactable. There are outlines on the interactable to indicate the player they can interact with them. If it's the current task, it will be pink. If it's just an interactable, it's blue, and if they're touching it, it will be a green color. So sometimes when they're doing the procedures, if they go turn a valve incorrectly, a gas explosion will happen, which they will need to resolve. Sometimes, also randomly during the gameplay, a fire will occur, and they will need to use a fire extinguisher to put out the hazard. Next slide. Now, this is a fire extinguisher. All right, so now we'll pass the time to Wei Chen to do the prototype.
Thank you, Emma. So, can you see the prototype casting? Okay, so this is the reporting room where the players start out in. They use this room to log into a system. We use doors to move between rooms and also to quit the application. So now I'll move towards the punch card. You can see the control pop-ups guiding the users on what to do. I'll now log in. So I'm grabbing the punch card, and we use the punch card to log in or to register, and also to reset your password if you forget the password. When the player has logged in, they can now join into rooms. So now I'll create a room called test. And Emma will join me in this room shortly. This is the briefing room where players can meet other players. So we use color buckets to differentiate between players. And on the right is the tool rack where players can spawn tools. The tools do not have any functionality as of now, but you can see that Emma is spawning a tool. You can see she spawned a wrench over there. Now I'll talk about the whiteboard, which is what we use to choose between game modes. This is the practice mode. You can preview the tasks of the preset levels on the right side of the whiteboard. For the demonstration, we'll be using the procedure 4. As you can see, these are the tasks. For challenge mode, a random procedure will be chosen, and the leaderboard is also shown on the whiteboard. There's also the leaderboard for players in the room. Refresher is only single player. So you can see on the door over here that we are unable to start the game because it says that only one player is available for refresher mode. I'll go back to practice mode. Over here, you can see the monitor. Emma has logged into her account. And on the monitor, we can see account details, achievements, and badges. So for achievement, it's practice mode records. You can see the task and the timing that she has taken to complete it. Also the badges that she has on her account. I'll now log into my monitor. So you can see my challenge rank, refresher streak, badges. And in practice mode records, you can see completed in 33 seconds for this particular task, and also overall time for the procedure. These are the badges that this account has. I'll now talk about the iPad. So the wheel pad has settings like movement settings, audio settings, and also has basic account details such as your email and password. There's a mute function for the voice chat, but currently we are in the same room. A torchlight and also a task for players to reach certain interactable objects in the engine room. For the emotes, you can see the character model playing animations in the mirror. You can see Emma's character also playing animations over there. We will now move on to the engine room. In practice and refresher mode, you're able to see the current task on the iPad and also in the scene itself. So the first task is open the lever, and you can see this lever is highlighted in pink, while the other interactables are highlighted in blue. You can also see an exclamation mark on top of it. So to open or close the lever, the players have to touch it, and you see when I touch the lever, the outline is changed to green color. So I will turn this lever now. And you can see a score notification pop out, and also in the iPad that the task has been completed. Now, the fire has started, so to resolve this event, players have to pick up the fire extinguisher to extinguish the fire. If you do not extinguish the fire, you will fail the procedure. Now, Emma and I will alternate through the tasks and finish the procedure. This is the gauge. So in order to see the task, you have to open your iPad and it says set gauge to default to -5. So to set the mode, you have to click on the side buttons, so default to, and to change the value, it will be the up and down buttons. You can see Emma doing it over there. Lastly, I'll be talking about the valve interaction. So to interact with the valve, you have to touch it again and press the A or B button. Oh, I'm sorry. Emma was doing a task over here. So we have now passed the procedure. I will now show the challenge mode. So for challenge mode, the procedure will be randomized. And we are now unable to see the task list. Valves to tasks are hidden in challenge mode. There is also no exclamation mark or pink outlined interactable. We will now try to fill a task and start the gas explosion event. So this valve over here is not in any procedure for demonstration purposes. We'll have to wait a while for the gas explosion event. So you can see there are smoke coming out from this lever and also this valve. So this is the gas explosion event. To rectify this, we have to turn the lever or valve back to its original state. But let's see what happens if we don't. We fail the procedure, and you can see that a wrongly turned valve or lever caused a gas explosion. And we are now back in the briefing room. This is the end of the demo, and also the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Team Chocolate Whales. Finally, may I invite Team Clever, the winning team from Torvald Klaveness, on stage. There is growing interest in sustainability within shipping, and the team had to create an app for seafarers to input clean data that will aid in developing insights for sustainable shipping. Team Klaver, please.
A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gabrielle, and today, my teammates and I from Team Klaver will be bringing you through our analysis and recommendations for Challenge Statement 3 by Torvald Klaveness. Specifically, we will be exploring how the maritime industry can embrace digitalization to generate clean data for sustainable shipping. With increasing requirements for seafarers on board ships to provide daily updates to crew, this actually results in a situation where seafarers are inundated with numerous forms that are based on pen and paper processes. In that respect, we have identified three main problems with the current paper-based forms system. Firstly, a problem of repeated data entry. Secondly, a high volume of erroneous data. And lastly, heavy paper usage. With data fields repeated across numerous different forms, this actually results in a highly repetitive data entry process that also gives rise to two problems. One, an increased proneness to errors. Currently, research has shown that the approximate probability of human error when entering data into a simple spreadsheet stands at 29%, with this figure rising to 100% for complex spreadsheets. Given the numerous forms in the industry, this effectively guarantees the probability of erroneous data. The second problem we have is the problem of high opportunity costs. Currently, 79% of seafarers have reported that there's too much documentation to be done in the maritime industry, and this actually takes away precious time from more meaningful and urgent tasks that can better guarantee ship safety. What these statistics goes to show is the fact that paper-based forms are inherently problematic, not just because they are tedious and inefficient, but also because they compromise on quality of data. Further expanding on this point of compromised data quality, unclean data actually prevents companies from gleaning useful data insights for future reference. With generating over 120 million data points daily, the maritime industry has great potential to leverage on data to generate useful insights that could drive performance up by 5 to 10%. However, it is important to note that unclean data is unable to generate useful business insights, where it has been found that businesses lose an approximate 20% of revenue every year simply due to bad data quality. This is likely due to the bullwhip effect of bad data, where bad data is used as a reference by players further down the value chain, building more mistakes on top of it. While data cleaning is indeed possible, however, prevention is ultimately better than cure. This is further corroborated by the 1, 10, 100 rule, which states that it is much more cost-effective to prevent and verify data at the early stage rather than in the data cleaning stage. Thus, it is important to note that the benefits of data is not a function of how much data one has, but rather the quality of data one possesses, and that is best achieved by having clean and accurate data from as early as the input stage. I'll now be passing my time on to Ryan to bring you through the last problem.
Thank you, Gabriel. So the problem of the maritime industry today on decarbonization is actually through paper forms. As of this year, 2.9% of the carbon dioxide emissions is released by the maritime industry this year. And by 2050, if nothing is stopped, it actually will gain up to 130%. How then can we achieve the IMO standard by halving the carbon dioxide emissions? And these are the two main reasons. The first, high paper consumption. Every 3 years, the cost of paper would actually double. As a result, 1/4 of discarded paper would emit methane, which is 25 times more toxic compared to carbon dioxide. Next, reduced ability to glean insights. According to Remy Erickson, the DNV CEO, the collective cost of bad decision made through bad data is many times the size of the insights gained from data mining. Next slide. Right. As a result, the Klaver app is actually implemented to actually solve some of these problems. The first, repeated data entry, which will result in data transformation. Second, erroneous data, which will result in data checking. And last but not least, heavy paper usage, which will form digitalization and achieve 6 different outcomes, such as reducing errors and reducing resources. And last but not least, it's also able to improve the consequences of unclean data. So let me give some insights. Majority of data scientists, face an issue in cleaning data. And as a result, they're unhappy, especially so when only 20% of their data is actually achieving business objectives. Why so? This is because the data cleaned is only done in stage 3. Why not do it from the very beginning? And that is where the Klaveness app is started. Let Jia Jia bring you through.
Thank you, Ryan. Now let me introduce you to the Klaveness app. The Klaveness app incorporates the 3 solution features that we have mentioned earlier. The Klaveness app allows form digitalization to be as easy as creating forms by taking photo, storing forms as presets, and even disseminating subsets of the forms to relative seafarers within minutes. The application introduces smart solution in data transformation by recalling users' information and also detecting any measurements that needs units conversion, for example, from knots to Beaufort scale. And more importantly, the application is able to reduce human errors by automatically alerting users of any input errors throughout the end-to-end process of filling up forms. The Klaveness app has a lot of benefits for various stakeholders, including reducing the administrative burden for seafarers for them to have better capacity to focus on more urgent tasks. And as a result, they have more job satisfaction and also more productive. When it comes to administrative personnel, they are also able to slash their document processing time by 80% just by using digital documents. They are also able to streamline their process of finding information by leveraging all digital databases. When it comes to the company at large, we are focused on cost benefits when it comes to reduce paper consumption and also from data insights, whereby the company can identify more cost-effective routes, procedures, etc. Extensive data insights is also pivotal for the company to make very impactful decarbonization decisions. They are able to use data to visualize areas in the process where carbon emissions are inefficient. And this is done so before they go through the process of finding out a solution. And in that case, they are able to come up with decarbonization efforts which are much more effective. The Klaveness app will be the long-term affordable solution that the company can easily transit into. It is affordable as the app will be hosted in Amazon Web Services, where it has the pay for only what you use pricing structure, and also they do not have to pay for the cloud infrastructure maintenance fee, as it will be covered by Amazon Web Services. Employees can also easily integrate into this application due to the simple user interface and the ability to translate to various languages. And now that maritime roles are getting more in demand, and also Klaveness internship programs which focus on data analytics to come up with sustainable solutions, we believe that the company can not only obtain but also nurture well-trained talents to make the most out of this application. Even if we need further efforts to educate employees to move to this application, it will be justified by long-term improvement of labor efficiency and also reduced carbon footprint. Now, I will bring my time to Brendan, who will be talking about the technical side of our application.
Thank you, Jia Jia. Now I'll be going through the software aspect of the application. The Klaveness app is actually a web application that leverages on AWS services. You might wonder why we decided to go ahead with a web application instead of a mobile one. The reason is because when we were doing our research and developing the solution, one main question that kept coming up was whether crew members on the ship had access to smartphones at all times. This is because if even just one crew member does not have access to a smartphone, this would defeat the purpose of a mobile application. Furthermore, one key takeaway from our mentoring sessions with the company was that every single ship had at least a laptop or computer on deck. We decided to take advantage of this and go ahead with a solution that is dynamic and responsive enough to act as a mobile application and a website at the same time. When we developed this application, we kept 4 main pointers in mind. First, scalability, fault tolerance, security, and lastly, maintainability. We realized that the solution must not only solve the problem at hand, but also cater for the long future ahead where it can be used in the long run. The first feature of the application that I would like to introduce to you two is actually role-based authentication, which allows us to restrict access to sensitive information and features by leveraging on user and identity pools. It also allows us to store personal information about seafarers, which means that they will not be necessary to enter this information every time they fill up a form. We also designed the system to follow the principle of the least privilege model, meaning that users will only be granted access to data that requires them to perform their role. Last but not least, having all this information on one application allows for simple management of the crew. The second feature that I would like to introduce to you is the ability of the Klaveness app to digitalize forms instantly. What this means is that users are able to digitalize forms through the application, and we realize this is a necessary feature, as when we requested a sample form from MSC, one thing we realized that it is unnecessarily lengthy, not only to mention that there were various sections needed to be filled out by the different roles of the crew. This meant that at some point the form was being passed from one person to another, implying that it is vulnerable to human errors along the process. Using the Klaveness application, users can distribute forms to the different users based on their roles and functions, meaning that users will only be required to input information that is required of them. Last but not least, creating a form on the application is simple and easy to use. By using your personal mobile device, all you have to do is either snap a picture of the form or upload the photo, and we will digitalize the form using OpenCV. However, we do realize that there are limitations to this method, such as the quality of the camera as well as the image does affect the overall outcome. Therefore, we developed a second solution to how to create forms in the application by using the inbuilt dynamic form builder that allows you to create and edit forms on the spot. I'll now be handing my time over to Caleb to go through the other features of the application.
Okay, thanks, Brendan. Now I'll go through the app's data cleaning process. So firstly, we have automated data checks, which are done to convert data inputs into set standardized metrics, for example, kilometers to meters. Secondly, grammar and language checks are also performed to ensure data is consistent and accurate. Thirdly, repetitive personal information entry in the forms are also automated based on account information. This will help us to reduce the total time required for a user to fill up a form. Fourthly, checking of current inputs data against frequent past input data, which will help us to reduce the possibility of human error and have more accurate data. The next feature is offline and online data synchronization. Firstly, out at the sea, we understand that internet connectivity may not be readily available at all times. Therefore, we designed the app to work without internet connections. To achieve offline data synchronizations, users are able to import and export encrypted CSV data files that can be transferred with the use of physical thumb drives. If you have internet connection, we can allow data synchronization with a cloud database. Through the process of synchronization, we also do cross-checks between online and offline data to ensure data is consistent. To summarize the Klaveness app, we build it and envision it as a centralized information system, a platform where we collect all form information into one place. With the Klaveness app, we are able to reduce paper-based processes while collecting clean and usable data. Next, clean and usable data can be the driver in digital transformation in the maritime industry. Our Klaveness app's ability to produce clean and usable data and today's technology in machine learning and artificial intelligence will provide us the edge among our competitors. Clean data and its ability to give us good business insight is the key to decarbonization and our solution to the vision of reducing total CO2 emissions and having zero-emission vessels. To end off, I'd like to share part of a quote from the Global Maritime Forum in 2019. Shipping's decarbonization can be the engine that drives green development across the world. With that, are you ready to drive digital transformation with us? Thank you.
Thank you, Team Klaveness, for that wonderful presentation. So with that, thank you for joining us at the grand finals of the MSC Maritime Digital Challenge. Please join me in giving all the participating teams and mentors a big round of applause. Right. This case challenge would not have been possible without your dedication of time and effort. So for those of you who are tuning in today via Facebook, we have $10 Grab gift vouchers that are up for grabs, and in a few moments, the secret code will be up for 20 seconds. Send it to our email address at msc@sgmf.com.sg, and if you're one of the first 10, you may just get your hands on one of these vouchers. So the team would also love to hear your feedback on this event. We would very much appreciate if you could spare a minute to scan the feedback QR code on screen. And now, ladies and gentlemen, can we please give a round of applause to appreciate SMS Chi being with us this afternoon as he takes his leave. Thank you for gracing the MSC Maritime Digital Challenge. So ladies and gentlemen, we have now come to the end of the Grand Finals prize presentation. May we ask the student teams to remain behind for group photo taking while guests take their leave. Thank you so much.